Are we calling this NCDC this week or this week NCDC?
I mean, this would be the moment to change it if we want to change it.
I think it's NCDC this week. I'm just asking. I,
That's what I was under the impression it was. Who has it the
that,
other way?
that's perfect. I don't know.
This we could make it this week. NCDC.
NCDC this week? Really? You doing it this week?
NCDC this week. This week.
NCDC right now? Is that when it's happening?
That's the companion show. That's the watch along the director's commentary. NCDC right now.
NCDC, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
All right.
it's NCDC this week.
Yeah, NCDC
Yeah,
this week.
this week.
That's the open. What's going on, folks? It's NCDC this week. I'm Dan K. Lucas J. We are ready to go. Are we going to count that?
I thought you were going to keep going. That was perfect.
I think we're in it right now. Let's just go.
Yeah.
So, welcome to NCDC this week, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little bit of a different show than what you'll get on your Thursday night Dan K shows or your Wednesday or anytime drops on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever get you audio podcasts. This is an all NCDC centric show. It's not now, which I've seen in the world here lately, but it's NCDC this week. Lucas, we were talking about it. I don't know what made me think it was potentially this week NCDC, like an odd like semicolon in there. But I introduce you in right hand man, consigliere, Montfrere from another mayor. Let's talk the name real quick before we get into exhibition hockey in the NCDC.
Yeah, I mean it's fairly straightforward. What's this week? It's the NCDC. It's going to be every week, every
Yep.
Tuesday, 9 p.m. so that we can catch those mountain folks as well. Right now, you're not seeing it on a Tuesday. We're aware of that. Don't worry. After this episode, it's going to shift back to its normal home on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. That is where you'll get your recap, your discussion, your look ahead moment. And then on Thursday, you'll be able to watch a completely different Dan K Show product for the premiere and the elite inside the USPHL. It's a little bit more Dan and Lucas, but I think you all are going to be okay with that.
Yeah, and I think what it really does, it allows us to serve all these players even better and their families, right? That are investing in this sport of hockey, that are investing time, effort, and at times finances as well, as we all know in this great sport, to ensure that their players get the best experience junior hockey has to offer. And that experience is USPHL and here NCDC Hockey, the National Collegiate Development Conference. Lucas, the exhibition is behind us. The preseason is gone. I mean, there's no official champions in preseason, but record-wise, 7 wins for Mercer in a ton of games over there.
Yeah, Mercer coming in, definitely the champion for games played. They played 7 games, 5 wins, 1 loss in shootout. So they're looking at a .786 win percentage. That would make them, we've called them the percentage champion. Look, I know the Hitmen technically are a .833, but they only played 3 games. Props to Mercer for really throwing the team out there, getting them ready for it. But we've had teams all up and down the NCDC that have been getting ready for the season. I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing. I'm seeing some great action on the ice. We're seeing some really high quality play. We've talked a lot about the NCDC, and we'll get to that in the next segment here, Dan. But I think as far as the exhibition goes, love to see these teams broadcasting their exhibition games so we can watch them, scoring them so that we can analyze them, so we get a little preview of what's to come.
Yeah, and you look at what's to come this season, it's always parity at this NCDC level. I mean, last year you had about 20 teams, it felt like, and there's only a couple in the league. There ain't 20 in the league. It felt like there was 20 teams in the race at the end of it, trying to follow along all the way down to the last puck drop of the season. Every regular season game mattered. Connecticut and Mercer played it into overtime for Mercer to clinch that final spot in the postseason in the NCDC South Division. Lucas, it's now gone west as well. We've got 3 6-team divisions this year, North, South, and West, and that West being called the mountain ranges. Let's talk about this season and kind of what it will look like for everybody in NCDC Nation.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different, right? And if you want to see those NCDC exhibition numbers, you can go to ncdchockey.com under standings in the drop-down menu, go to NCDC exhibition. You can check what those standings look like. But as far as what you can expect this year, you can expect to see, I should say, some younger players, right? We've talked about that before. The NCDC draft this year really focused on those 05s, 06s, and 07s, trying to get the youngest, best players inside this Tier 2 product. But for fans of the NCDC or for players who are returning for the second, third, or potentially, even longer stint, you're going to notice some differences, especially in the playoffs. The regular season, you're still going to have your regional games. The West will largely play out west. You'll have your other two divisions along the East Coast playing at showcases, playing games. A lot of home and homes this year, which is a new for the NCDC. Last year, Dan, we saw a lot of midweek games. This year, games concentrated again on the weekend, which should be good for some of that primetime viewing.
Yeah, and I think that's the goal with the NCDC, especially with putting together content now like NCDC This Week, presented by the Dan K Show, putting games on that Friday, Saturday, Sunday slot, getting these Mountain Division games into prime time for the local fans and the local crazies to go crazy about their favorite teams out there. It's going to be an exciting season. It's an exciting product they've put together. You kind of look through the exhibition, you see some of the top names that are coming back. Guys like Nick Bevilacqua skating out there now at PAL, moving down from the north, comes from the Boston region down to PAL. A great move for Nick. I know PAL has seen just how good that young man can be in net. You look on the offensive side, Kotaro Marase coming back with South Shore. He had 4 goals in the preseason. You got guys like George Goodwin coming back for the Idaho Falls Spud Kings. You got guys like Coleman Jenkins still grilling them in Boston, along with Shane Baker, the goal maker. There's a lot of familiar faces coming back into the fray. And as you look at this season, there's going to be some unfamiliar postseason, Lucas. We talk about this a little bit. For the folks who don't know yet, if you haven't read that article dropped on ncdchockey.com, you can go there and read up on the postseason and how it will all look. But this year, the North and South will play a postseason to determine a winner of the NCDC East. The NCDC Mountain Division, they will play their postseason and declare a champion of the Mountain. Then the winner of the Mountain will travel to play the winner of the North and South playoff in what will be the Dineen Cup Finals. It should be an exciting way to get to the finish line, Lucas.
Yeah, it's going to create, I think, a little bit more drama. And one of the nice things, too, is in previous seasons, the NCDC product and the Premier and Elite product have overlapped sort of their playoffs here. A little bit of a different move. They're changing the timing. So the regular season, starting this weekend, now ends March 22nd, 2024. So you're going to have some time to really focus on this NCDC product here. The Atlantic and New England will have a play-in game with 4th place holding 5th place that first weekend. Then they'll have a best-of-3 semifinal, the higher seed hosting March 27th, Friday, March 29th. The Mountain will be doing a best-of-5 semifinal. And it's not just the Mountain doing a best-of-5. The Atlantic and New England will be doing a best-of-5 division final the last weekend of the month. And then there's going to be the best-of-5 to determine who goes to the Dineen Cup. So you're seeing a change from 3-game series to 5-game series nearly across the board. And then, of course, you're seeing that Mountain Division champion traveling out to play the Atlantic New England region champion. That'll be a best-of-3 Friday, April 26th to Sunday, April 28th. This season's going almost until May now, Dan. We're going to get almost a month here to focus exclusively on this NCDC product.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the goal. The goal is to put it on its own platform, put the spotlight on it, and really make some noise for it. Just like the gentlemen above me right now in my home are really making noise as they rip a tub out of the bathroom upstairs, and apparently also put on a wrestling show. I think Macho Man Randy Savage right now is above the booth as we're calling this one, and he just got thrown to the ground with a stunner by Hulk Hogan.
Well, much like when you change out an apartment, you sometimes have to rip a few things up. You got to stomp around a little bit. You got to make a little noise. And, is that metaphor perfect for the NCDC? Probably not. But I had to find some way to work the noise in as if we planned on it, Dan.
I'm pretty sure the Turbo team's up there going turbo time right now, but that's okay. I can't be part of the Turbo team. But what I can be a part of is what we're going to be showing up each week. It is a preview of what is to come in the NCDC this week. After this short break, we'll be back with our games to look out for, our picks, and our game of the week. All this coming up on NCDC This Week, presented by the Dan K Show. We are back with a segment you will see each and every week right here on NCDC This Week, presented by the Dan K Show. It is our previews of the weekend, the games to watch out for, Lucas's game of the week, Dan K's game of the week, and then the NCDC game of the week with our locks, our certified guaranteed Dan K and Lucas J locks. They're just about as good as the lock on my car after I broke the key. Let's go into it, Lucas. I'm going to let you start. What are you watching? What is your series, your team? What is your storyline of the weekend to watch?
Well, Dan, you posted that player card for King Tot, the Idaho Falls Spud Kings mascot, and I've been unable to erase him from my memory. I see him around every corner, lurking in shadows both near and far. So I'll be watching the Idaho Falls Spud Kings this weekend. But because they're playing two opponents, they're playing the Rock Springs Grizzlies on Friday, September 22nd, 7 p.m. Mountain. And then they're playing the Ogden Mustangs on Saturday at 7:15 Mountain. So you're going to get a chance here to really evaluate three teams by watching two games. So you're getting a little bit of extra evaluation out of it, but we both sort of had the Utah Outliers as our number one coming in, our expected number one seed. So we have to now evaluate the division to see how they stack up. I think this team, the Idaho Falls Spud Kings, with their two different opponents, is the perfect way to kick off the NCDC Mountain viewing.
And who do you think wins it? Let's pick the first one. We're only going to do 2 picks a week. We'll keep you updated on the standings as the season goes on. We will declare a champion. They will receive a tiara, I guess, or a crown, winner's choice. And Lucas, who do you got? Let's do Rock Springs hosting the Idaho Falls Spud Kings in their home opener.
Family Recreation Center Ice Arena, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm going to go with the known quantity here. It might be a little bit of a safe pick to say the Spud Kings are going to win this one, but I think the future looks really bright for this Mountain Division. I'm really excited to see the Rock Springs Grizzlies play. That's why I have this series picked. I want to watch Rock Springs. I want to watch Idaho Falls, but I think Idaho Falls is going to win that one.
Lucas believes the Spuds will sack the competition in Rock Springs. They will mash their opponents. They will smash with butter.
A little rosemary.
And a little bit of rosemary, a sprig, as they say. I like the pick, Lucas. The Spud Kings, you've got them over Rock Springs. My series to watch, I always like storylines, and I like revenge in a lot of my movies. I like movies where you're avenging things. And if you're the Connecticut Junior Rangers, you get an immediate chance in Game 1 on Saturday afternoon to go to Mercer and get back at this Mercer side who eliminated you from playoff contention in the final game of the season. And how did they do it? Just by getting the game to overtime. Mercer knew they needed to split 1 point with Connecticut to clinch being ahead of them. They got the game to overtime, survived a flurry at the end from Jim Henkel and his Connecticut Junior Rangers. This is going to be a battle. Now you add Mike Stanaway to the Premier side. He's recruiting a fast, high-flying action style of hockey in Connecticut at the Premier level, which I think helps the ladder at the NCDC level with Coach Henkel, who wants to play a similar style, who wants to see an athletic game played, who wants his guys to give 110%, play a 200-foot game of hockey every single shift, every single timeout. I think Connecticut is absolutely primed and ready for a run at an NCDC Deneen Cup this year. Mercer coming off back-to-back exhibition losses to close out the exhibition season. I think all signs are pointing at me picking Connecticut, right, Lucas? You'd
Right.
say Mercer wins it, though. I think Mercer opens the season. I think at home, always a tough trip from Stamford down across New York into New Jersey. Got to drive through a lot of traffic to get to Mercer, and you can hear them hammering away at a chance. They're sawing away the defense of the Connecticut Junior Rangers. Mercer will be plugging up any holes in the defense. They will be spackling their way to a championship. And I'll tell you what, this is not a rebuild for the Mercer Chiefs. This is a reload.
It's a renovation, really, is one way you can look at it. And when you renovate, you make a lot of noise. And Mercer's done that. That's why they have so many exhibition games in the books.
What a job. What a job we're doing there. I'll tell you what. Let's get into the game of the week now. There's a lot of different series that we can talk about. If we didn't get to it on this show, you got to tune in this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to our X page. The Dan K Show X, also NCDC Hockey. NCDC JR Hockey is what you're going to follow on Instagram, on Facebook, on X as well. I think Vin Diesel named it. And, you look at it, you're going to find your picks there for the rest of these series. But our game of the week, Lucas, our series of the week, we start opening night, Friday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time puck drop with our guy Brian Rascona on the call. The defending Deneen Cup champs will unveil the banner and take on the Wilkes-Wagon, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. What do you expect of this series?
I expect some great hockey. I mean, we know that PAL, obviously as the defending champs of the NCDC, they're trying to do it again, right? Everyone tells you it's the hardest thing to do to go back-to-back championships, but the one thing that's always unspoken is, man, do we want to do it again? And I think PAL, they have a great recruiting team, great coaching team. They always produce very consistent results. I know, Dan, you specifically have been a huge champion for that organization over the years. But I visited the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights over the summer. I talked with the ownership group there, with Jody, with Ray Welch, with the numerous coaches and staff they have on hand. And I saw the energy at camp. I saw the competition level, the quality of player they had. And I think this is going to be a good way to start the NCDC season. I think the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights are ready to rumble, and they're going to get an immediate test in the defending champs.
Yeah, Nick Bevilacqua, I think, is the guy this year in net that's going to be a difference maker for them. You lose great goaltending, you got to replace it. They do right away with Nick Bevilacqua. This is a kid that's ready to win a title and ready to get a ring this season for himself. Heike Virtanen's my big story there, along with Ty Broad. I expect big seasons out of those guys. Virtanen's size, he started to really use it towards the end of last season. I think Coach Marcoux and Coach DiChiara were basically, I think they were happy with what they were getting at a Heike towards the end of last season. I think they expect that again. On the Wilkes Wagon side, a little bit of an unknown, right? Some changes at the top, working through this roster, figuring things out, piecing it together. I always expect a team in Wilkes' position maybe a week away, right? You have to see that first game under. You got to get those skates going. I think this is going to be a good year for the Wilkes. I think Wilkes are going to be a playoff team in the NCDC South, but I'm going to make my pick the first pick of the season in a game of the week. I think it's the defending champions. They're going to be hyped up. They're going to have those rings. They're going to see that cup. They're going to be celebrating. They're going to drop a banner. And then I think they're going to drop a 6 spot in game one and beat the Volkswagen.
Yeah, I largely agree with you there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wilkes really grind it out in the second game of that weekend. But I think game one, with the fanfare, with the adrenaline, with the desire to prove yourself, right? When you're an athlete, you expect perfection out of yourself every day, and you combine that with adrenaline and confidence. That is a tough combination to beat. So I would agree that PAL is going to take game one, but again, you got to watch out for that second game. When you get real hyped up in game one, you drop all that adrenaline out there on the ice, you put up a couple of goals, all of a sudden game two gets a little harder. So I would watch out for Wilkes in game two.
Lucas's locksmith picks of the week: the Spud Kings reign in game one over the Rock Springs Grizzlies, and the PAL Junior Islanders, the defending Deneen Cup champions, start the season 1-0 against the Volkswagen. Dan K, you heard it here first. Although saying everything about Connecticut winning, he didn't pick Connecticut. He picks Mercer to win game one against the Junior Rangers, and then selects PAL as well. So that Mercer Spud Kings pick, that could be where we go different. Both can end up 2-0. Both can end up 1-1. Maybe both 0-2. We will see. Dan K and Lucas Jones's locks of the week. You want to see our other picks? You want to hear other picks? Tune in on social media at the_Dan K Show all weekend and all season long. You will see pick after pick. These guys will be putting our names to the test, and we will be putting you in a position where you can shout and yell at us all you want. Also, be sure to follow the NCDC at NCDCJR Hockey, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Lucas, any parting words for NCDC this week? Or does the Lucas not having parting words spread into outside of Dan K Show content? Because this is technically a different show. You could be a completely new character. Maybe we should do costumes each week for the NCDC this week. You're still not going to say anything. You can do whatever you want. This is your show. All right, I like it. Well, what I'm going to say is you can keep an eye out for these cool koozies when you get in the road. We got Dan K Show koozies right here, and they're star of the game koozies, because if you use a Dan K Show koozie, you yourself are a star of the game. Keep an eye out for these Dan K Show koozies, where we are and where you are. And pure maple syrup from Jensen Acres Farm, Jensen Acre, Franklin Township, Michigan. These guys are great enough to own a hockey team in our league, and they're great enough to give me 2 things of syrup, and they definitely didn't tell me to deliver one to Lucas. My rule this week was the parting words. Every week we have a secret word that if Lucas says, he gets a prize. All he had to do was say any sound at all in his parting words this week, and he would have gotten free syrup. Lucas did not make a sound. We will see if he can win. I will let you all know on social media each week's secret Lucas word. If Lucas says it, he will win a prize, a new little shtick for the NCDC this week. This has been This Week, NCDC. I'm Dan K, NCDC right now. Right now, it's NCDC time. Let's go. Dan K, Lucas Jones, the most watched show in junior hockey. We thank you for watching along with us, and keep an eye out for some cool Desert Cup content coming down. You'll learn what's the Desert Cup? Well, we'll tell you. We'll find out. NCDC This Week. I'm Dan K.
Can I also introduce a segment called Lucas's Locks of the Week, where I go to different delis around New Jersey and review the lox and cream cheese?
I think that would be hilarious if every week you're just like, look, it's time for Lucas's Locks of the Week, and you're like, oh, this week it's a salmon. Lucas, I